privileged to have with us a distinguished set of speakers, including three ministers. Um, Her Excellency Ms. Teresa Cristina, Minister of Agriculture, Livestock and Supply from the Federative Republic of Brazil. Senator Aubin Hill, Honorable Minister for Economic Growth and Job Creation, Government of Jamaica. Shri D.V. Sadanand Gowda, Honorable Minister for Chemicals and Fertilizers. Mr. Arvind Varchasvi, Chair FICCI LAC Regional Council and Managing Director Sri Sri Tatva. Mr. Angel Ananos, CEO of AJE Group, which is Big Cola, more famously known as Cola. Mr. Daniel Gocino, I think I have pronounced it all right now, from WEG Industries. Mr. Ailtem from Stefanini, the major IT company from Brazil. Mr. Diego Malarino from Teca Capital, and our very own Dr. Amrut Naik from Zydus Cadila, giving the pharmaceutical perspective. And not to forget Ambassador Andre Lagos, who's been great support for our initiatives with LAC in overall LAC and Brazil in particular. So with this, I would like to invite Arvind Varchasviji to take it over. And Arvind Varchasviji is leading our initiatives, promoting basically FICCI's initiatives for LAC region as the chair of FICCI LAC Regional Council. And he's also a distinguished industrialist and a passionate entrepreneur, heading Sri Sri Tatva as managing director. Over to you, Arvindji.
Thank you very much, Garindraji, and ladies and gentlemen, a very, very warm welcome from here in India to this World Latin American and Caribbean session organized by FICCI. This particular session is a part of the FICCI Leads Summit. We are bringing across leaders from all across the world, and especially during these VUCA times, it's important that we learn from experiences of leaders world over to see that how we could apply them to our business and also enable our businesses with best practices. I would like to take this opportunity to invite Ms. Sangeeta Reddy, the president of FICCI, to come and welcome the dignitaries. A little brief about our Honorable President, Dr. Reddy. Dr. Sangeeta Reddy is a global healthcare leader, an Indian entrepreneur, a humanitarian. She is the joint managing director of Apollo Hospitals, one of Asia's largest and most trusted healthcare group, passionately committed to transforming healthcare system through technological advancements. She's accelerating positive transformation for effective healthcare service delivery. As a policy influencer and reformist, she's actively engaged with governments and also industry bodies. Thank you, Dr. Reddy, for setting the tone today, and really welcome you for your comments right now. Thank you very much.
Honorable Minister D.V. Sadanand Gowda, Honorable Minister for Chemical and Fertilizers, Government of India, Her Excellency Ms. Teresa Cristina Correa da Costa, Minister of Agriculture, Republic of Brazil, Ambassador Andre from the Republic of Brazil, Senator Robin Hill, Honorable Minister for Economic Growth, Mr. Arvind Varchasvi, Mr. Angel Ananos from Peru, Mr. Daniel Godinho from Brazil, Mr. Nascimento from Brazil as well, Mr. Malarino from Colombia, Mr. Amrut Naik from Cadila, India, other business leaders from India, Latin America, the Caribbean, participants, ladies and gentlemen of the press, my dear friends, good evening to all of you in India, and a very good morning to our friends in Latin America. And of course, a namaste. On behalf of FICCI, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to the honored speakers for the LAC session of Reimagining Distances being held on the third day of the Leads 2020, a unique global initiative of FICCI. We have planned this session, Reimagining the World, as a 4-day global leadership initiative to evolve a shared vision for global and economic prosperity. The program is being organized on FICCI's in-house virtual platform, featuring 11 power-packed regional spotlights from the east to the west, curated in a time zone friendly series. And it really strives to be a confluence of global leaders to share their vision on how leadership through business excellence needs to adapt to an evolving future, keeping diversity and sustainability at its foundation, keeping multilateralism and inclusivity, as well as adaptability and the tremendous change. In today's session, focusing on India, Latin America, and the Caribbean business relations for reimagining distances between conventional trade, agriculture, and mineral resources. We remember very fondly the visit of the Honorable President of Brazil, Mr. Bolsonaro, who I had the pleasure of meeting when he was visiting us in India. And we look forward to many more such visits and relationships very soon in times to come. However, today, we can still use methodologies like technology to connect, to discuss, to reimagine, and to find effective ways to work together. As the world has been disrupted in this unprecedented time, and global alliances are shifting, we believe that India plays a tremendous role in the future. We look forward to living out the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister of the Atmanirbhar Bharat, but we also will at the same time not just grow our own self-reliance, but evolve as an economy, partner and share effectively, reimagine distances, and throw open the tremendous market which is India, as the home to 1.4 billion people, among the fastest growing economies in the world. It is time for people to look at us and say, India is truly the new home of global business. Our inherent capabilities, whether it's our human resources, our culture, our ability to translate the changes in terms of information technology. And many people who understand this capability of India will know that nobody will not have some level of a relationship. Today, we are honored to have with us Her Excellency Ms. Teresa Cristina, the Minister of Agriculture, Livestock and Supply from Brazil, Senator Obin Hill, the Honorable Minister for Economic Growth and Job Creation, a very important subject indeed, and our Honorable Minister, Shri D.V. Sadanand Gowda, who's the Minister for Chemicals and Fertilizers. You will see the very interesting correlation of these subjects. The Minister for Chemicals and Fertilizers is the true trajectory of the future in terms of chemicals and the new economy. Mr. Obin Hill, the importance of job creation and economic growth is a common shared subject and area that we should be focusing on. And of course, agriculture, as the economies all over the world went into a literal tailspin, it was the Indian agri sector which stood up and ensured that our economy will be able to thrive very soon. India's Latin American outreach has indeed been remarkable and in some ways a success story with significantly enhanced trade and investment. India has become a major trading partner with many other countries in the region and has also sought to engage the countries on bilateral and multilateral basis with a view to expanding these economic links. We look forward to conversations like these, enhancing this dialogue, opening up the special strengths and capability of different partners and enabling industry partners to look at each other with a new light of relationship. While there's been a tremendous increase in bilateral trade between India and the LAC region, there's a massive trade potential to be unlocked. We will bring these two regions together, and this will require effective institutional framework as well as business and people-to-people friendly networks. There is an inherent linkage between India and the LAC region. Your love for music, the great ability for art, culture, dance, and enjoyment of the spirit of life. Much of that is something which is reflected in many parts of India as well. And we look forward to these common bonds becoming and forging a part of the future relationship. Latin America is positioned well to leverage on these. And I think in India, the reform-oriented government under the dynamic leadership of our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi is charting an ambitious course of growth and development. We all know that the Honorable Prime Minister has been pursuing a relentless outreach program, connecting with world leaders and effectively conveying the opportunities that India offers, the role it can play in the global arena, and the fact that we believe in multilateral, inclusive, and sustainable growth for the world. Under his leadership, India looks forward to faster growth and development. With these few words and many thanks for your presence, I welcome you all to this interactive session of sharing ideas and paving the way for future business. Namaste and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Reddy, for setting the tone for the session and also welcoming all of us to this session. Friends, Her Excellency Ms. Teresa Cristina Correia da Costa Diaz, the Minister of Agriculture, Livestock and Supply, Federative Republic of Brazil, could not join us today. However, she's been kind enough to send across a video message. Ladies and gentlemen, we're also extremely honored to have the Ambassador of Brazil to India here, His Excellency Mr. Andre Lagos, and he would be sharing across a few words after we play the video message that is sent across by the Honorable Minister. I would like to make a mention here that Ms. Teresa Cristina is the Minister of Agriculture, Livestock and Food and Supply of the Federative Republic of Brazil. In 2014, she was elected to the National Congress to serve as a federal deputy, being re-elected in 2018. In Congress, Minister Teresa Cristina was appointed president of the Parliamentary Agribusiness Front. She remained within the 10 best evaluated members of the Chamber of Deputies during her tenure. She was recognized as the greatest proponent of the Brazilian agribusiness sector. I would kindly request her video message to be played. And after the video message, I would request the Honorable Ambassador to kindly share a few words with us. Thank you.
It is a privilege to address this conference organized by FICCI. I have visited India past January with President Bolsonaro. I am totally convinced that the relationship between our countries deserves enormous attention. You can count on me and my fellow ministers to stimulate trade and investments. I shall note that there are some great Brazilian industrial companies here today. Each one is a world leader in their respective areas, such as WEG and Embraer. But what does industry have to do with agriculture? Everything. WEG is an example of the agricultural industry connection, generating many jobs here in India. This Brazilian company manufactures irrigation turbines in Hosur, contributing to industrial employment, agricultural productivity, and the sustainable management of water and other resources. Embraer is a major player in agricultural aviation. It's Ipanema aircraft. It's a market leader in the only airplane in the world that runs 100% on ethanol. Of course, ethanol is another example of the extended boundaries of today's agriculture as a source of innovation and renewable and clean energy. You can see that it is not by accident that agriculture in Brazil is increasingly being called agro-industry or agribusiness. Agriculture today makes intensive use of technology, not only machinery, but also information technology, biotechnology, genetics, climate and earth science. We can increase our output and, at the same time, save resources. Brazil's agricultural exports have a huge value added. Exporting and agricultural products means we are also exporting innovation and sustainability. Brazil and India are already collaborating in innovation through the Brazil-India Agritech program. We will also contribute with our know-how and investments to India's food supply chain, especially its cold chain infrastructure. In a nutshell, the opportunities for our relationships are immense, and reality is already exciting. Mahindras are the best-selling tractors in Brazil nowadays. UPL is bigger in Brazil than in India. Here in India, Brazilian companies such as WEG, Perto, and Marco Polo are growing at a fast pace. Despite all this success, there are still some outstanding challenges to our partnership. As an example, there are still too many trade barriers between us, but governments and the private sector in Brazil and in India are working hard every day so we can fulfill our full potential. We have many fronts to build up together. I propose we carry on right away. Thank you. It is a privilege to.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for that kind message. I would request the Honorable Ambassador of Brazil to India to kindly say a few words.
Yeah, very, very few words, because I think the Minister said most of the elements that I believe are going to be treated tonight. I just want to say that the same way that she mentioned that the government in Brasilia is at the disposal of Indian businessmen and the Indian government to support the strengthening of our relation. I just want to reiterate that at the embassy and my team, we are also completely at your disposal. And I would like to thank very much Stefanini, that is an internationally extremely respected company of IT services, to be here with us, with a representative that has this experience with India, which is very important, Ailton, and I thank you very much. And obviously, my dear friend Godinho, who is already an expert in India for WEG. So thank you very much, Fiki, for inviting us and for having this wonderful group of Brazilians, which obviously doesn't include me, but includes also, I have to say, includes also Sangeeta Reddy, because Sangeeta Reddy is the honorary consul of Brazil in Hyderabad. So we have a really strong team tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ambassador. I think with those few words, we do really see that there's a greater bond than what we could expect from both the regions. Moving on, now I would like to invite Honorable Senator Obiang Hill, Honorable Minister for Economic Growth and Job Creation, Government of Jamaica. A little brief about Senator Hill. Senator Hill has over 35 years of experience of being an international banker. He lived in 9 countries and has done business in more than 115. In 2016, he has been appointed as the Senate and subsequently elected as Deputy President of the Senate. In October 2017, he becomes the CEO of the Prime Minister's Economic Growth Council. In 2020, Senator Hill has been invited to be the Minister of Economic Growth and Job Creation. He is responsible for water, land, BPOs, the SEZ Authority of Jamaica, and special projects. Thank you very much, Senator, for being here, and we look forward to hearing from you now. Thank you. Honorable Senator, request you to kindly unmute yourself. Yes.
Dr. Reddy for
Honorable Senator, yes, now we can hear you. Now you may go ahead. Thank you.
Dr. Reddy and Arvind, thank you so much for organizing this conference on webinar for us. From Jamaica, we're very pleased to participate because we've had such a long and extensive relationship with India. Myself, I've been to India well over 100 times. I've stopped counting, and including about 18 months ago, Dr. Reddy, my foreign minister, Mrs. Kamina Johnson-Smith, and I and a delegation visited you there at FICCI, and we'd love to come back to participate. But Jamaica, of course, going through COVID-19, and we've so hard to Prime Minister Holness and his team have managed to find a balance, trying to work that balance between protecting lives and still at the same time encouraging livelihoods by avoiding a complete lockdown. And our tourism minister, Mr. Bartlett, who oversees a big part of our economy, he has been working with the World Tourism Organization to find, frankly, a Jamaican-devised methodology to get travelers staying in the air and getting back traveling. That aside, India and Jamaica has strong relations because India is a leading economy and democracy in the Commonwealth, and we have had this long relationship. Prime Minister Holness and Prime Minister Modi have met 3 times at bilateral conferences. The relationship is growing. Our ambassador is going to be opening our office in Jamaica in a couple of weeks. But there are tremendous possibilities that we offer and we can get from India. We look at the strong legal arrangements that we have set to India's request Indian companies as they look at regional shorter supply chains, that Jamaica offers kind of security, the language, the English legal system, the history together, that makes it sensible. We have medicinal opportunities. Dr. Reddy, we're looking to be the regional place outside of the United States where the Indian diaspora in North America and the Caribbean can come and get outstanding world-class Indian medicine and medical care. And that's a relationship that we want Jamaica and India to develop. We are, as the ministry, coming out of the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, we're in the business of expanding and enhancing our infrastructure. And we are looking to Indian companies. We have talked to some Indian construction companies. We're looking at a government a center with ministries around our parliament, tremendous work going on there, water. And so in the construction business, we're looking for Indian companies to help Jamaica build our infrastructure. And we're looking at digitization. You have done a great job with ADAR. We're just putting in unique national identification system and of course digitizing our entire government system. And Indian companies, we have talked to Tata Consulting Services. We expect to continue those conversations, but other Indian companies are invited to come in and look at how they can help us build this business. And so we look at food security and exports. India had a very long run with dairy and other products, and we're looking again as supply chains shorten and people are looking at security from regional, shorter, more controllable supply chains. Jamaica offers that opportunity, sitting an hour away from still the largest economy in the world, the United States. And we have a very good relationship with the United States. So as we look at shortening distances, and India and Jamaica and India and the Latin and America and Caribbean nations are so far apart, Jamaica offers a special bridgehead in language, in legal arrangements, in understanding each country, each other from the Commonwealth, and sitting beside the largest market in the world with an educated and growing educated class of Jamaicans to help build that relationship, to make sure that the issue of economic growth and job creation is fostered by the enhanced relationship between Jamaica and India and the other partners in this conference.
Much, Senator Hill, for these very insightful points that what you mentioned, and also the vision that what you have for the entire region. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and privilege to invite Sri D.V. Sadanand Gowda, Honorable Minister for Chemicals and Fertilizers, Government of India. A little brief of Mr. Gowda. Dr. D.V. Sadanand Gowda is the Honorable Minister of Chemicals and Fertilizers in the Government of India. And second, he also represents the Bangalore North constituency, also a city from where I hail from. He had also served as the 20th Chief Minister of Karnataka. He has previously served as the Minister of Statistics and Program Implementation from 2016 to 2019. From 2014 and 2015, he served as the Minister of Law and Justice, having been shifted from the Ministry of Railways in 2016. Thank you very much, Sri Gowdaji, for being here with us, and we look forward to hearing from you. And at this particular point in time, Honorable Minister, I would also like to acknowledge the presence of Mr. Servala, Joint Secretary, Ministry of External Affairs, who's also joined us here right now. So, Dr. Gowda, over to you, and we look forward to your honorable remarks. Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much. Good evening to everybody. Honorable Minister for Economic Growth and Job Creation, Government of Jamaica, Aben Hill Ji, Sangeeta Reddy, Dr. Sangeeta Reddy, President FICCI, other excellencies, distinguished guests, industry captains, ladies and gentlemen. Really, I feel proud to be here in the midst of you, and it's an honor for me to speak before the distinguished audience today. I would also like to thank FICCI, STAR, and other organizations for organizing this global event of Leads 2020. I was intrigued by the name of the theme of this session, Reimagining Distances. A wonderful theme has been placed before us. What I could understand is that there is a challenge of long distances between India and great Latin America and Caribbean countries, and that we need to overcome this in order to build closer relationship. Technology makes everything. I hope that by use of technology, our relationship can be geared up. I think the challenges of distance is not so much as there has been considerable development in transportation system and communication technologies in the last 2 decades. The talent lies in reimagining ways to make interaction and visits between us more regular and easier. There exists common interest between us, and there is a need to convert this interest into successful model of cooperation. We are the same level of development, and therefore we have a lot of common interest to protect and project on global platform. We have cooperated on lots of global issues with countries like Brazil, Jamaica, and Argentina on various multilateral or global platforms such as United Nations or G20. There is a need to extend this cooperation at regional and bilateral level. Current level of trade, commerce, and FDI among us is not commensurate with economic progress achieved by us in the past 2 decades. But good thing is that they are improving in recent years. As a minister of 3 departments, pharmaceuticals, fertilizers and chemicals, and petrochemicals, I would like to highlight opportunities available in this sector in India. India is one of the largest manufacturers and exporters of generic medicines across the world. As you may be aware that during initial phase, hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin was identified as one of the medicines under treatment protocol for COVID-19 in emergency cases. India supplied these medicines to more than 120 countries across the world, thereby earning the reputation of reliable supply of medicines. India is the only country with largest number of US FDA compliant pharma plants, more than 262, including APIs, outside USA, and exports $20 billion worth pharma products to various countries, including high standards complying countries like United States and Europe. We are confident that Indian pharma sector can grow to $65 billion industry by 2024. We have recently launched schemes for development of 7 mega parks, 3 bulk drug parks, and 4 medical device parks across the country. New manufacturers will be eligible for production linked incentive schemes, under which they will be eligible for financial incentives on the basis of their sales for the first 5 to 6 years. This is a very, very good time to invest in India and set up manufacturing base in Indian pharma sector. One can enter Indian market through joint ventures also. The advantage is that you can get access to big markets like domestic Indian market, United States, Japan, European Union, and Southeast Asia through India as far as pharma sector is concerned. Anybody can contact my office if they are interested in Indian pharma sector. We will provide all possible facilitation and hand holding. Another department, that is the fertilizer sector, is also an attractive sector in India. Honorable Minister of Brazil may agree with me. India is a very large agricultural country. There is huge demand for fertilizers by our farmers every year. However, domestic production itself is not enough to meet requirements of fertilizers. We are large importers of urea, P&K fertilizers. For example, in 2018-19, India imported 7.5 million ton of urea, 6.6 million ton of DAP, and 3 million ton of MOP, and 0.5 million ton of NPK fertilizer. I am told that Latin American and Caribbean countries are also net importers of chemical fertilizers. Instead of competing in market as buyers, we should be cooperating for making supply chains more efficient so that adequate quantity can be sourced at competitive prices. Secondly, I believe that there is a need for collaboration for development of alternative fertilizers, for example, nano fertilizers, which can reduce our requirement usage of fertilizers and hence dependence on imports. I would welcome any feedback on my proposal for joint research and development collaboration for development of alternative fertilizers. Another important area of the day is chemicals and petrochemicals. The market size of chemicals and petrochemical sector in India is around $165 billion. The size is expected to grow up to $300 billion by 2025. This presents a huge opportunity in chemical sector in India. For example, to meet the growing demand, India will need 5 crackers by 2025 and additional 14 by 2040. These crackers alone will require cumulative investment of $65 billion. To attract foreign participation, Government of India is revisiting its policies for chemical and petrochemical sector. We are thinking of extending financial incentives based on sales similar to what is being extended in our pharmaceutical sector. We are also tweaking our policies to strengthen our chemical industrial cluster, which we call as the PCPIRs and plastic parks. Together, these supportive government policies, which will offer one of the best environments to business in India as far as chemicals and petrochemical sector is concerned. I would like to mention some of the measures that our government has taken these years to facilitate business and to make India as a global manufacturing hub. Measures such as introduction of single comprehensive, single indirect tax system, goods and services tax, introduction of insolvency and bankruptcy code, and faster resolution of bankruptcy cases, creation of world-class state-of-art infrastructure, reduction of corporate income tax to 22%, reduction of corporate income tax further to only 15% for new manufacturing companies up to March 31st, 2023, easing of companies, easing of compliance of labor laws and regulations, and single window clearances system for faster approvals, among others. These are the measures have resulted in a big way, a big jump of our Indian ranking from 134 in 2014 to 63 in 2020 in the World Bank Ease of Doing Business report. Similarly, the increase in FDI flows, that is $36 billion in 2013-14, it has gone up to $74 billion in 2019-20. I would like to thank you all for patient hearing. I hope you will appreciate wide opportunities available in Indian pharmaceuticals, fertilizers, and chemical sectors. We would welcome any proposal and will extend all possible handholding in India wherever it is necessary. So once again, I thank the organizers and I thank the guests who have come from abroad. Have a good day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister Shri Gowdaji, for that enriched remark. I think you have really encapsulated the possible opportunities and synergies that what both the regions have together. Now I would like to invite Dr. Reddy to deliver the vote of thanks.
Once again, a very warm namaste. It was a great experience listening to the thoughts of Her Excellency Ms. Teresa Diaz, the Minister of Agriculture of Brazil, Your Excellency Mr. Abhyun Hill and Shri Gowdaji, and the vision you have envisaged for the India-LAC relations. Mr. Hill, there is no doubt that your strategic position as 1 hour away from the world's largest market and your open-mindedness to convey, connect, and partner with India leads us to a very strategic potential, and we look forward to exploring these further. Brazil and the rest of Latin America, we look forward to all the deliberations going forward. And to our Honorable Minister, we are very grateful for your strong message, for your clear acknowledgement of the strength of the Indian chemical and pharmaceutical industry, and the open invitation and commitment to partner and to assist all global partners in sharing our strengths and to enabling a stronger world. With this, we come to the end of the inaugural session of this session. And before we proceed to the business session, ladies and gentlemen, I really want to say that the future augurs well for the discussions between our nations and the new path of bonhomie. Let us reimagine the distances and grow together and define the economic equation between India and the LAC, both in discourse and in practice. Let our next steps be buoyant and ensure that we stay connected. We also would like to introduce you, we will send details to the India Expo, which will be happening in December, where companies from your countries can showcase their capability at this virtual expo. And India will showcase its capability of manufacturing and services. This exchange of ideas and this matchmaking of business relationships will further strengthen the ideologies that you have expressed over here. I'm sure the key takeaways will give valuable insights as we commit to shape a stronger, sustainable, inclusive, and multilateral future. Thank you very, very much, and namaste. Arvind, over to you, and thank you for your session, for your chairing of this. Thank you.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, with having Dr. Sangeeta Reddy set across the tone for the entire business session, let us move on to the business session now. The august presence of these three senior ministers today signifies the importance and the intent that we are here and are ready to put our minds together to take the engagement between India and the LAC region to the next level. We believe that it is time to take the dialogue to the next level, a time to think fresh and also integrate ideas and also food and also the energy security, innovation and entrepreneurship development being the very center of these deliberations. In this backdrop, FICCI envisages the need to change the perception of the days of excuses about physical distance as a great barrier to closer relations between India and the LAC. The VUCA Times world has helped us in reimagining the distances between India and LAC and brought both regions in the same time zone. I take immense pleasure in informing you that over 2,000 delegates are participating in the Leads 2020, a FICCI Star initiative, which is an even bigger platform created by an industry body since the pandemic has impacted our life. With this note, I welcome you all for this interaction. Strengthening India's global engagement is central to the present government's international strategy, and economic diplomacy is an integral part of the global discourse. One refreshing departure from the past government is that this government embraces and recognizes the potential and the role of developed as well as developing economies in achieving economic progress and prosperity. In this context, it is particularly heartening to see the focus accorded to engaging with LAC region. The frequent head of state level visits at the level of president, vice president, and prime minister, various Latin American and Caribbean countries the last couple of years reflect that both India and the LAC region have recognized the growing influence of each other in the world economy and the benefits that come with partnering with one another. India and the LAC have combined GDP of more than $8 trillion and account for over a quarter of the global population. We all know over the last decade, India's trade with the LAC has grown threefold to reach $33 billion in 2019, with India's exports to LAC amounting to $13 billion and imports reaching up to $20 billion US dollars. Importantly, India's current trade with LAC is limited to the handful product categories such as agrochemicals, automobiles, pharmaceuticals, IT industry and its services, and with a few countries, Mexico, Brazil, Colombia, Chile, Peru, and Argentina, absorbed more than 80% of India's exports to the LAC region. You're all aware that about the complementaries in our economic strengths and planning our investments accordingly. There are so many opportunities as we are going to discuss from the distinguished speakers in this session, from energy to IT to manufacturing areas like pharmaceuticals, FMCG, etc. You can well imagine the dividends that we can reap if we do some skillful matchmaking between our expertise, talents, and capacities. With this note, I would like to invite our strong industry members from the Latin American and Indian region to share their experience and vision on how this VUCA world has changed our perception regarding the geographically apart region to reimagining the distances. Today, we have with us some very distinguished business leaders from different sectors giving their perspective on the session theme, Reimagining Distances. Mr. Angel Ananos, CEO, AGE Group, Bicola, Peru. Dr. Daniel, Director Corporate Strategy, WEG Industries, Brazil. Mr. Ailton Barbarino, Executive Vice President, Global Business, Stephanie, Brazil. Mr. Diego Cordoba Arlino, President, Partner, Teca Capital in Colombia. Mr. Amrit Naik, President and Head, Emerging Markets and Business, Cadila Healthcare India. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Angel Ananos, CEO, AGE Group, Bicola, Peru. A little brief about Mr. Ananos. Mr. Angel Ananos is the chairman of the board of AGE Group for 26 years. He's been named Entrepreneur of the Year 2002 and has received various awards both nationally and internationally. Mr. Ananos' leadership has led the AGE Group to the most globalized company in Peru and also in the world by consolidating growth in the international markets. Also, the fourth most important company in the world in soft drink category and has significant presence in India too. Mr. Ananos, over to you for your words. Thank you.
Okay, muchas gracias. ¿De qué hablaremos hoy? Hoy hablaremos de una familia de agricultores que nace en los Andes del Perú, digamos, y pierde las tierras a manos de la guerrilla y del terrorismo.
Buenos días, good morning. I'm going to be the translator for Angel. This is Rohit Rao, president from Incham, Peru. Today, Angel is going to talk about how a small community member from a complicated region of Ayacucho, where there was terrorism, has reached to this level of manufacturing and reaching the worldwide. Adelante, Angel.
Luego de esto, inicia una pequeña empresa en el patio de la casa, una industria de bebidas gaseosas. Tarda 10 años de llegar a la capital de Perú, de Lima, y hoy tiene presencia en más de 30 países en el mundo.
Typically, they started the manufacturing in the garage of their house 10 years back. When it took them 10 years literally to reach to the capital of Peru, that is Lima. And after this, there's been no going behind. They have reached almost all parts of the world, including India, with a manufacturing plant.
Okay. Y hoy tenemos presencia en América, tenemos presencia en África y tenemos presencia en Asia. En Asia estamos en países como Tailandia, Indonesia, en países como Vietnam, y hace 10 años tenemos ya presencia en la India.
It's not much needed to be translated. They're in most parts of the world, also in Asia. And since 10 years, they are present in India. Being one of a small family member, having the vision to reach to India is really fantastic. We really feel that, as people say, the bridge can be made very fast all over.
¿Por qué decidimos ir a la India? Decidimos ir a la India porque es un país, como ya ustedes saben, de más de 1,000 millones de habitantes. Tal vez el consumo de bebidas hoy día no es tan grande, pero nosotros no estamos pensando en hoy día, estamos pensando en los próximos 20 años o 30 años.
Why India? We all know that India has been really growing a lot. We all know the future of India is fantastic. And we know that the amount of people that India are there. So that is why they're just not going there because of today. They feel the future is going to be fantastic with India and Peru.
Al principio fue difícil, y también una sugerencia para India. Fue muy difícil, por ejemplo, comprar un terreno y comprar una instalación, porque básicamente no había titulación de las tierras en India, y las pocas que habían de empresas eran muy limitadas, y nos costó mucho, la verdad, buscar una ubicación y buscar un local, digamos, para la India. Y dentro de ese concepto, felizmente, esa parte ha pasado, digamos. Otra dificultad de la India era que muchas legislaciones regionales o estatales, pero gracias al nuevo primer ministro, creo que la ley se está unificando y eso está ayudando mucho.
Since 10 years when they were there, it was very difficult for foreigners to buy land, to have things done. With the new prime minister which is coming, the new tax laws, they really find it is fantastic. The future for investment in India is going to be really great and big.
Sí, hoy estamos muy contentos de tener nuestra presencia en India. Las cosas han mejorado mucho en estos 2 últimos años, y tenemos mucha ilusión de que esta operación siga creciendo al paso que la India sigue abriendo sus mercados y sigue mejorando su comercio con el resto de los países.
Since last 2 years, really the business have grown up quite a lot, and they're very happy with the new taxation laws. They're very happy with what is going on in India, and they feel not only them, a lot of other foreigners should invest in India and get things done on a different level.
Sí, agradezco mucho la invitación en este foro, y ojalá mi presencia ayude a algunos jóvenes a que se animen a crear pequeñas empresas y que básicamente se proyecten no solamente al mercado de India, sino también al resto del mundo.
I thank a lot all these organizers to inviting me today, and I really hope and feel that all the youngsters from the small villages can make things big. I mean, what we have done today in Peru, it can be done in India with the youngsters, with the young people who really can find different ways, not only in India, also any part of the world. Where we've reached, people can reach also without any problem. It's a good message for the young Indians who really want to grow.
Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
And
very
back
much.
Arvind, to you.
Thank you very much, Ananos. And thank you, Mr. Rohit, for translating for us. We have with us now Mr. Daniel Godinho, Director Corporate Strategy, WEG Industries Brazil. Mr. Daniel is the Corporate Strategy Director of the WEG Group, a specialist in foreign trade from 2011 to 2013. He held the position of Director of International Negotiations at the Foreign Trade Secretariat. From 2013 to 2016, he was the Secretary of Foreign Trade of Brazil. Between 2016 and 17, he served as a senior advisor to the Inter-American Development Bank in trade and integration projects. Since May 2017, he's the Director of Corporate Strategies of the WEG Group. WEG is one of the largest electric motor manufacturers in the world, producing more than 21 million units annually. WEG Industries started its manufacturing activities in India in 2011 with the intent to serve Asia, the Middle East, Africa, and Oceania markets. Mr. Godinho, over to you.
Well, first, WEG is honored and want to thank you very much for the invitation to be part of such an important event. Let me salute you all and allow me to especially thank Minister Teresa Cristina for her kind words, and also our dear friend and partner, Ambassador Andrea Correa do Lago, who has been playing a fundamental role in helping us bridge distances between Brazil and India, which is the subject of this panel. Thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador. I thought a lot on how to better contribute here, and I decided to share our practical experience in India and our efforts in also trying to bridge this distance. WEG is a Brazilian global company which produces electrical solutions used for the generation of energy, transmission and distribution of this energy, as well as protection and automation. And all those will allow this energy to reach final consumers, being them in industries, in agriculture, in cities. So as mentioned, WEG is one of the top 3 manufacturers of electric motors in the world, with around 70,000 electric motors produced every day in the world. And talking about our global footprint, WEG has currently 32,000 employees working in 45 manufacturing sites in 12 different countries. And as you are all aware of, a company doesn't get to be global without a deep commitment to quality, R&D, and technology. We have 108 WEG research and testing labs all over the world, and this represents crystal clear results brings us results in terms of research, development, and innovation. And here I stopped to share with you maybe a first challenge in helping bridging distances between our countries, which is knowledge. We have to work more to show each other more and more that many of our companies have a lot of technology in many key areas. In the case of Brazil, that applies not only to agriculture, but to many other areas, as I intend to show you here. And this can contribute a lot to our economies and to strengthen the bonds between them. So knowledge is the first key to bring our economies and our countries even closer. So turning back to our history in India, we began in 2004 with a commercial branch in Bangalore. And in 2008, WEG took a step further and built a greenfield factory located in Hosur, state of Tamil Nadu, where we can currently employ around 850 employees. What is our business in India? We produce high voltage electric motors and generators for lift irrigation schemes, basically. Hydro generation projects as well, and larger motors for the steel and cement industries. So here you start to see how our business fits directly into the needs of the Indian economy. Since 2004, so we are supplying these motors. For instance, we recently supplied motors for the world's largest lift irrigation scheme project, which is Kaleshwaram List. And for you to have an idea on the dimension of this project, this is adding up to 8,000 square kilometers of area for agriculture. So once again, industry working together with agriculture, as well as improving drinking water for the population of the surrounding area. Besides this, we are expanding our scope. We are now building a whole new factory for low voltage electric motors to start operations next year. We are developing traction motors for locomotives, entering a new area in India as well. And we are developing a new wind turbine to be launched simultaneously in Brazil and India, making these two countries together the global hubs for WEG in terms of wind power generation. So with all these examples, what I intended to show you is that WEG has been participating in India's economy, not only with local production and jobs creation, but also with technology, with high quality solutions applied in key areas. And here I mentioned agriculture, I mentioned energy, and I mentioned industry. And we are getting into transportation as well, getting closer to locomotives, which is a fundamental area for India as well. So this is, as a piece of introduction, this is what I wanted to share with you. Our panel's challenge today is how to bridge distances between India and Latin America. How can we grow together? I hope I was able to show you that WEG has already bridged a lot of distance with India, despite all difficulties. And let me stress that difficulties can be found everywhere. We have factories in 12 countries. We work directly with 37 countries and sell our products to 135 markets. So difficulties are found everywhere. We have to be there, we have to be present, and that's how we build trust. What we found in India so far, favorable business environment, and right policies, such as Make in India, just to mention one example that have been allowing us to go together. So there's no secret or silver bullet here. Knowledge, presence will bring growing trust, which will foster investments. This is the WEG's formula so far, and this is what we intend to do more and more in this country. So I'm stopping here, and we'll be ready to come back for the debate and questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Godinho, and I believe that your experience with India will benefit our friends here from Latin American region while venturing here into India. Now we have another friend from Brazil, Mr. Ailton Barberino, Executive Vice President, Global Business, Stefanini, Brazil from the IT sector. Mr. Ailton holds a degree in Economic Sciences and a postgraduate degree in the Digital Transformation Program of INSEAD. Mr. Ailton started in 1980 at the Itaú Bank, and since then he's demonstrated a great trajectory in the business era. Mr. Ailton is the Executive Vice President of Global Business at Stefanini. We all know the technology has become an integral part of our lives, especially during these difficult times of the pandemic. Running a business is as much as a technology as much as it is an art, considering leadership challenges in an environment where change is the only constant. Over to you, Mr. Ailton, and look forward to listening to your views during these VUCA times.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alvin. It's a big pleasure to be here with so distinguished colleagues and audience. Thank you, Ambassador, for your presence and introductions. at the beginning of this panel. Thank you very much for all. So I'd like to speak a little bit first about our operations. So Stefanini is a group of companies. We are 24 companies in the group. We are present in 41 countries in all continents around the world. So in India, we started our operations in 2006, so 14 years so far, and has been a very great experience we have done there. So in 2010, we grew our investment and operations through an acquisition of international companies, but an Indian one called the CXI. And so far, we have increased our investments in India because it's an important operation for us, because it's serving our clients in the United States and some clients also in Europe. So it's an amazing experience that we have had so far there in India. So analyzing our region here and comparing the investments of Indian companies. So here we have some IT important Indian companies like TCS, Tata Consultancy Services. I have an history with them. So I worked for Tata for almost 2 years. It was a great experience. I have great colleagues there, great friends. And in here we also have other companies like Mahindra, Satyan. We have Wipro, Cognizant, and others. And those guys have made very great success, has been successful working here. However, I believe that it's time to create a new bridge of relationship between India and Latin America. So I think there are a lot of opportunities and to increase this relationship and to invest in both sides, not only one way, but in both sides, because we know India is a great opportunity also for companies in the entire world to invest. India is growing very fast. It's creating a great history in several different segments areas, such as energy, telecom, IT, always, automotive, health. So you can imagine any segment India does. So I think to create these new bridges of relationship, we should think about some issues that should be fixed. So, for example, we have some cultural issues that must be analyzed in order to improve this relationship, improve business between us. Language is another point, time zone, and a complicated regulatory system that we have taken Brazil as an example. But as I said at the beginning, we need to create this new relationship bridge. And for that, we need to think outside the box. I think we can make a difference between our regions, mainly invest in supply chain and vice versa. So both regions has good opportunities for investments. For example, thinking about Brazil, we have a strong and very well developed agriculture technology. So it's a stronghold in the third world. And what about India? R&D innovation is one. And what else? Many things. So many areas of opportunities to exchange experiences. But anyway, we need to solve that issues I mentioned before and shorten our distance. How? First, I think considering the long distances, the way to shorten is developing your own capabilities, our own capabilities, both sides, as we have done with Stefanini. So as soon as we realize that India could be a good opportunity to grow our operations, we establish our own offices, our own operations there, as well as Indian companies does in Brazil. So, but I think partnership is also one opportunity to increase this relationship. But how to make this work? So first, finding areas of opportunities such as health technology. So you have a lot in terms of health technologies. So infrastructure. Brazil has a huge opportunities in infrastructure. And also, not only that, but energy generation, energy distribution, logistics. By the way, a good opportunity for investment. So in a short time, Brazil will be showing and will be promoting a new round of investments for big projects here in Brazil. So this is an opportunity for any country to invest here and start a new history and taking their own knowledge and their own technology to bring into exchange, bringing here to improve this investment. So I think this is some of kind of opportunities. The second, as I said before, is investments in big projects. In the third, acquisitions. We also have some good opportunities of companies to be invested or acquired here. So this is some ways to improve this bridge of a relationship between our countries and why not say India and the region. One of the big issue, I think, in terms of logistics, for example, is that we have in our region is that we need to transport our goods through the Pacific. So this is one big logistic issue that everybody is considering as a good investment in the future. So things like that can make our business much more interesting for both countries and regions. So I believe that through this way we can improve our business relations and we can strengthen our distances. That's one general comment that you'd like to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Barberino, for this enriching address. So what you really said is very, very correct, that a great partnership start off from something that is as subtle as just an intention. So I'm sure that both the regions would really come across together and see that investment is also a two-way street. Friends, moving forward, I would like to invite another friend from Colombia, Mr. Diego Cordoba Marlirino, President Partner Teca Capital Inc. From Colombia. He's the co-founder and president of Teca Capital. Teca Capital Inc. operates as an investment and managing firm and serves customers in Latin America. Former president of Valorum SA and served as an independent investment banker for several years. Members of boards of directors of Valorum SA, Sign Colombia SA, Bodytech, the Bogota Chamber of Commerce, as well as the board of directors of the Los Andes University. He is a business administrator from the Los Andes University in Bogota and has an MBA from the Instituto de Empresa in Madrid, Spain. Teca is one of Colombia's leading private equity firms. As of today, Teca holds 7 companies in different industries such as clothing, hotels, health services, fitness, mattresses, and cosmetics. So over to you, Mr. Diego. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Well, good morning and good evening for everybody, and thank you very much for this kind invitation, honorable ministers and ambassadors and ladies and gentlemen. Like Arvin has just said, Teca Capital is one of the most important private equity firms in Colombia, with 7 relevant investments. We done a very interesting job in finding mid-sized companies here in Colombia and project them throughout the region with very good success. We look value in the companies. Unfortunately, we have had these tough times in the last months, but we have been able to sort out the situation. We consider ourselves to be an active investor and where we bring fundamental change to mid-market businesses. As a personal thing and thinking about this shorten the bridges between Colombia and India. I would like to talk to you first of all of an experience which is important. In Colombia, we have some school changes between Colombian schools and schools around the world. And my daughter, for some reason, chose to go to India in this, and she lived with an Indian family for 3 months, having the most amazing experience that a girl can have in this world. She went to a very good school in India, and she got connected with the Indian culture and with the Indian food, with the Indian friends, and she got the most fantastic time of her life. And that I'm going to keep for later, because I think one of the most important things to get the cultures to grow up together. So in the case of our investments are we have the Bodytech, which is the leading, or the second leading fitness chain in Latin America. We have 150 clubs in Latin America, health clubs in Latin America, and growing. And we have the second most important mattress producer in Colombia, where we import raw materials from all over the world. Unfortunately, not from India yet. We have an important hotel chain in Colombia, the number 5 hotel chain in Colombia, with very iconic properties. All of the properties are ours, and where it would be fine to have, for example, a chain like Oberoi here in Colombia. It's a fantastic chain from India that could be very well suited in the future of interesting growth of tourism here in Colombia. We do have a company that is called Color Siete, which manufactures clothing, and we have imported in the past some textiles from India, and we export to the U.S. And Colombia could be very well a hub for Indian investors to export to the U.S. Clothing. And last but not least, we own Bardot, which is a cosmetic producer, where we would love to export to India. We export to all Latin American countries. We have very sophisticated cosmetics at very low prices, so it's a very interesting operation. All in my experience, I'm also a member of the Valorem conglomerate here in Colombia, of the board of Valorem, where I serve in the boards of Refocosta. In Refocosta, I was president of the board for a long time, and we exported teak to India for several years. We are at this moment of time, we are in the ways of hiring an Indian or companies to develop a turnkey cogeneration project here in Colombia, as well around the 40 megawatt cogeneration project here in Colombia, which would be very interesting for the Colombian-Indian relationship. I want to talk to you a little bit of what I've seen of this relationship. It's been 60 years of relationship between Colombia and India. Colombia exports to India mainly raw materials, which is let's say the basics of around the $1 billion, and India exports $1 billion in finished goods to Colombia. I believe that can be better for Colombia, that we have several opportunities in coffee, flowers, cosmetics, plastics, technology, education, health, energy, and engineering, and also timber. We have a very good opportunity in timber as well. We believe also that Colombia can become a hub for Indian investments, to export to Latam and to USA. As you know, Colombia has ports both in the Atlantic and in the Pacific, and is very strategically located in the Americas region. So for us, it's a very important and interesting hub for Indian investors. We also believe that Colombia is an interesting hub also for tourism in terms of investment. Colombia is growing rapidly in tourism. Colombia is one of the most biodiverse countries in the world. As you see, the economies in the world are developing into more sustainable, more diverse, more into environmental, let's say, economies, where Colombia will be located as a very interesting destiny for tourists in the future, not only for tourists themselves, but for corporate tourism as well. I as a conclusion, I would say that in terms of shortening the distance, we should need to create more cultural exchanges, that we should get away the barriers of visas and things between the countries. We should foster the education exchanges, both in schools and in universities, professors. I'm a member of the board of La Universidad de los Andes, which is the most important university here in Colombia. And I believe that exchanges between these kinds of universities and Indian good universities would enhance these practices. I believe that also the organization between the different chambers of commerce to promote trade and best practices exchange also of great help in order to enhance also the trade between the two countries. We have also, like you have like you probably know, we have the signed, we're part of the Trade Alliance of the Pacific, and I believe that India could be there, could have there some possibilities. And last but not least, I believe that even though Indian foreign investment in Colombia accounts for around, I believe, $200 and some million, and has create around 10,000 jobs here in Colombia, I believe that there should be more to do in the energy, in the petrochemicals, and in different sectors that I've heard mentioning this morning. So having said that, I leave you with my other colleagues. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Diego Marino. You've really brought a different perspective, and also perhaps really educated everybody that what's really there on the ground, and what are the different opportunities that both the regions can explore together. Thank you very much once again. Moving over to the other side, coming across to the Indian region, I would like to invite Dr. Amrit Naik, President and Head Emerging Markets and Business, Cadila Healthcare. Dr. Amrit Naik is a technocrat with 22 years of experience in the pharmaceutical business, and is also a part of one of India's leading multinational pharmaceutical companies. Since July 2016, serving as a President of Head Emerging Markets Business at Zydus Cadila and member of Zydus Management Committee. Doctor is representing one of India's biggest pharma companies and has a strong global presence in the regulated markets in US, Europe, France, Spain, to make a specific note, and also in the Latin American and the South African region. Our friends from the Latin American region have shared their experience and strategies and vision now. I feel that now it's time for us to have some insight and experience about the Latin American market from our own friend Amrit, and how pharma and healthcare sector is looking at bridging distances between India and the LAC region. Over to you, Mr. Amrit.
Thank you, Arvindji, and namaste to all of you from India. So, Honorable Minister Shri Sadanand Gowdaji, Honorable Ministers from Brazil and Jamaica, Honorable Ambassador, Republic of Brazil, Dr. Sangeeta Reddy, Mr. Arvind Varchaswi, my fellow distinguished businessmen from the Latin American region, and all participants in the forum. Very good morning and good evening to all of you. It's an absolute honor and a privilege for me to be here. So at the outset, let me start with this very interesting quote. and you will understand where I'm referring it from. It says, just as Lord Hanuman brought the holy medicine from the Himalayas to save the life of Lord Rama's brother Lakshmana, and Jesus, or Jesus as is called in the Spanish term, healed those who were sick and restored the sight of Bartimaeus. India and Brazil will overcome this global crisis by joining forces and sharing the blessings for the sake of all our people. These were the remarks that the Honorable President Jair Bolsonaro wrote in his letter to Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the 7th of April this year. We all know, in fact, Honorable Minister Shri Gowdaji also made this statement that the anti-malarial drug hydroxychloroquine, which was considered as a game changer in the treatment of coronavirus, particularly in the initial days, that has really placed India and the Indian pharmaceutical companies, including the one that I represent, in a unique position of strength globally. So what I'm going to do is, in the next 8 minutes or so that I have been assigned, I will try to outline issues, priorities, and few impediments that currently define the India-Latin America relationship. Also, from the healthcare perspective in particular, I would like to emphasize the need for both sides to develop a realistic model which is based on factual realities that enables India and the Latin American region to forge a very strong strategy and assume their rightful place in the new global order. So before I move on to the actual, to the current situation, let me give you a little bit of historical perspective, which I call as a pre-COVID era between India and the Latin American region. The economic relations between India and Latin America have evolved in 3 stages. And as they say here in India, as it happens in many Bollywood film stories, it started with mutual ignorance for each other. In the second phase, it ran into occasional flirtations. And finally, it is climaxed into romance. So looking back, both India and the LAC region have weathered, I would say successfully, the international crisis with remarkable resilience and have emerged, quite robustly compared to the developed economies, and had become quite notable growth poles, before the onset of COVID. Speaking about the pharma industry in particular, as you all know, that innovation has been and will remain the backbone of our existence. So in the pre-COVID times, India and the Latin American region were poised to be the growth engines of the pharmaceutical sector globally. According to the IQVIA database, which is the market share, the market information database that had basically published India and Latin America to have compounded annual growth rates of anywhere between 13 to 16% in the last decades. So both the regions, which is the India and the Latin America and Caribbean regions, have enjoyed similar positions on global health and pharmaceutical policies. Just to give you a little bit of more, recent statistics, between 2017 and 2019, the India pharma exports to Latin America and the Caribbean region had grown by almost 32% and has reached more than $1 billion of sales. So when you compare this $1 billion of sales with what India is doing overall, the Indian pharma exports is today valued at about $18 billion, out of which only $1 billion actually goes to Latin America. And therefore, I see that there is a significant amount of penetration that needs to happen and can happen with the initiatives that are really on the table today. So while the Latin American pharma market is pegged at close to about $75 billion, the revenue pie, as I said, with more than 20 odd people, 20 odd players participating in the market, is very, very firm despite the kind of investments these companies have done. So given that most of the countries in the Latin American region are largely out of pocket, what the Indian pharmaceutical companies have done in these markets is it has lowered the cost of medicine, because most of these countries actually have to pay, patients have to pay out of their pockets. the reimbursement model and the insurance systems are fairly underdeveloped in some of the smaller markets. And therefore, I believe Indian pharmaceutical market has played a very pivotal role in terms of reducing the overall healthcare cost and also helping the government in reducing the overall public expenditure. Speaking specifically about the COVID impact on Latin America and particularly on the healthcare, COVID crisis has been an exceptional, unexpected, and an exogenous shock, to both India and to Latin America, where most countries were already suffering, from anemic or zero growth in the past few years, in the recent years. The region confronted with crisis with severe structural challenges, which included a vulnerable middle class population, which had persistent inequalities of basically a disparity of income classes, laggard productivity, and a very constrained fiscal space. So unfortunately, Latin America has entered into the COVID crisis with existing developmental traps and a very deep social discontent, which happened in 2019, towards the end of 2019. So in the post-COVID world, in times of pandemic, what India is really positioned is it has perfectly exuded its persona as a global leader, particularly in the healthcare space. The way we have engaged with the world in the past few months has not only been promising, but also been very substantive. I think sometime in the early March 2020, when COVID had when the COVID had onset, while most countries and sectors were really grappling with the internal crisis management, I'm very happy to say that Indian pharmaceutical companies quickly put their act together and came together in terms of significantly ramping capacities for this wonder drug, which was known at that time as hydroxychloroquine. And we could not only meet the domestic requirement, but also significantly ramp up our capacities to meet the international markets. So our decision to export not just hydroxychloroquine, but also key products like paracetamol and some of the key antibiotics to countries like US, Brazil, Latin American country, the Caribbean nations, has reinforced India's position as a pharmacy to the world image. Be it Africa or Latin America, I think the key products were exported with no disparity, mobilizing whether it was Indian Air Force's flights, whether it was the foreign evacuation charters, or whether even the diplomatic cargoes which actually took the life-saving medications. So I believe India has done fairly well in terms of supporting the global requirements in terms of the pandemic, the peak of the pandemic that we've already experienced. Speaking specifically about the Latin American content, I think the economic impact of COVID-19 has been equally crippling on both the regions, whether it is India or Latin America. And I think to manage that better, both these regions can benefit significantly with increased collaboration, especially on the supplies of, say, test kits or generic medicines, or even joint clinical trials for COVID-19 treatment. Going forward, I believe people-to-people exchanges are going to be critical to improve the bilateral relations. Of course, we also have some impediments, currently as we envisage. Of course, we have a lot of both trade and non-trade barriers, non-tariff barriers, which are currently at play. There are also some inefficiencies which are in the form of transport and logistic routes, which need to be addressed on priority. But I believe India's existing advantage of being a large-scale pharmaceutical production house allows it to significantly leverage its soft power by investing into the outward growth of the healthcare sector of the Latin American nations and the Caribbean countries. So I believe Pharmexil, which is the apex body, will play an important role in harmonizing some of the regulatory framework, the policy frameworks in the Latin American region that will enable faster access of our high quality medicines to the region at affordable price. Finally, I would like to take a minute to mention about how Cadila Healthcare is really positioned in terms of the COVID battle. I think we are probably the only company which has a complete comprehensive range of products to address COVID, not just the pharmaceutical. I think when we talk about hydroxychloroquine, I'm very happy to say that Zydus Cadila produces more than 50% of the world's requirement of hydroxychloroquine, and therefore we stood tall during the times of crisis when in early March and April, when the whole pandemic began. We also have a plethora of products like dexamethasone, remdesivir, ivermectin, which are now become standard protocol, standard care of treatments in the COVID management. Plus, we are not just into pharmaceuticals, we are into biologics. So we are also doing trials on regulated interferons and ribavirins as a compassionate therapy for managing COVID implications. We also set up modules to manufacture diagnostics and protection kits like the COVID Kavach ELISA kits. And more importantly, which I am very happy to state, that we are at a very advanced stage of developing a vaccine, which is in the stage 2, in the phase 2 of clinical trial. And Zydus Group, in a way, is quite it is a benchmark company in terms of the clinical trial, because we were the first to develop and indigenously manufacture the vaccine to combat swine flu during the outbreak in 2010. And we are again very happy to say that Zydus has kickstarted an accelerated research program with multiple teams spread across India and Europe for developing a COVID vaccine based on 2 approaches: the DNA vaccine as well as the vaccine which is based on the measles virus vectored, the recombinant vaccine. So basically, I think Zydus is doing a very important role. I mean, I refer to Zydus because Cadila Healthcare Limited is known as a Zydus Group. And therefore, I believe Zydus Group is at the forefront of developing products and is offering products for the management of COVID-19 in India, also in the international markets. And I see Latin American region and the Caribbean region to be the key pillars for us in terms of where we would like to be in the future with respect to both our COVID products as well as the vaccine which is under development. So to conclude, I believe this pandemic is yet another sign for the government world to work together, to network, to solve global issues. Geopolitical and world wars were the challenges of the 20th century. I think the challenge of 21st century is undoubtedly COVID-19. India's contribution on the healthcare arena has undergone redefinition, particularly in the post-COVID times. And this should augur well for a deep-rooted India-Latin America relationship that will require no external momentum. So thank you once again for this wonderful opportunity to be here and represent not just my company, but importantly the pharma sector, which is really playing a very important role in terms of providing treatment solutions to the various parts of the world, including the Latin American region. So thank you, and look forward to having any questions.
Thank you very much, Dr. Amrit. I think you've really placed before us the wonderful work that what your organization is doing, and also to see that how opportunities from both the regions can be taken across further. I would like to make a mention over here that right now both the regions, as what Mr. Diego also made a mention, and also Mr. Elton mentioned, that there are so many things that what both the regions can synergize on, and everybody is looking at environment-friendly solutions. People are looking more futuristic, seeing that how we could bring in technology into business. But at the same time, we do understand that there are a lot of strengths that what both the regions bring across. For example, especially during the COVID time, while Dr. Amrit was mentioning this came to mind that Ayurveda per se has seen a resurgence in the entire world when it comes to lifestyle disorders and also looking at immunity building. So right now, if you were to see the export of Ayurveda from India has increased so much post the pandemic. People are looking at different lifestyle disorders and also looking at natural ways to see that how they could keep up their health care. So as what Dr. Amrit also made a mention that, that there are so many different things that what India has to offer to the world, right from the pharmaceutical sector, where Zydus Pharma has brought across so many revolutionary technologies and also researches that what they're putting across over the world. But also simultaneously, what this particular government has done is that it's also given recognition to its science, that what has been developed in India called the Science of Life Ayurveda. It's been India's medical health system for more than 5,000 years, and now it has a ministry of its own. And we find that there's a lot of interest that what the entire world is generating through this medical science. I'm also very happy to share that Shri Tatva, my own organization, is also one of the first to also have the ANMAT GMP, which is also a part of the PICS GMP for Ayurveda over there in Argentina. And we would like to see that how we also bring across this ancient, science and also this medical science to the entire world. And we see that last decade, there's been a lot of research on this particular science as well. So a lot that what both the regions could share across together. Now, summing up our session, I feel that this has been indeed a real great opportunity for us all to learn about the business opportunities that both the Latin American and also Indian region have in store for us. Industry hails the proactive approach of the government of India to LAC and assures our focus to take this age-old but very contemporary partnership to a new high. As always, we believe that this discourse of shaping our future together was surely to bring a win-win proposition to both sides. Key session outcomes which will be shared by FICCI team on real-time basis once the panel discussion is over. The presence of so many members of the diplomatic corps here today speaks volumes of the importance that the governments in India and Latin American region and Caribbean nations attach to the of the next big blocks of relationship between the vibrant Latin American economies that form the emerging growth pole of the world and the third largest economy in the purchasing power in terms of PPP. Like most emerging economies, India and Latin America, the region, also share same imperatives for growth. For instance, infrastructure development, skill development, and capacity building in small and medium industries. We must explore the opportunities of investment and ways of cooperation to address the challenges. The session today captures these imperatives and gives insights into the factors that are impeding the relationship from going that extra mile and offers recommendations that need to be followed proactively so that we can give substance to the ties. I hope to see you all for tomorrow's morning session, which would be the ASEAN session, Reimagining Technology and also the digitization time. At the outset, on behalf of the Indian industry and FICCI, I would like to express our sincere appreciation to my fellow speakers, senior officials from the government, ambassadors from Latin America and the Caribbean countries, senior industry members and media who have joined us here today and supported this meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, at this moment, I would also like to acknowledge the presence of our Secretary General, Mr. Dilip Chenoy, and I would like him to say a few words while we are closing the session.
Thank you. I was there at the beginning, so thank you very much. And over to Gajen.
Yeah.
You want to?
Yeah, I would, yes. Thanks, Secretary General, and thank you, Arvindji. I think we had to skip the Q&A, which is actually a very important part, but I think we are already 10 minutes behind the schedule. So we had to skip the structured interventions or Q&A, which we had planned. But taking this opportunity, I would like to acknowledge the support and cooperation which we have received from all our MOU partners. I would especially like to mention IBCC. Thank you, Leonardo ji. And I would also like to acknowledge INCHEM Peru. Um, Thanks, Ambassador Castaneda and Mr. Rohit Rao, and also Christian from Columbia, India Chamber, uh, Industry Chamber. So obviously, I can't take all the names, but I especially wanted to thank uh, in Champeru, IBCC, and Columbia Chamber for their great support that we have received. In the end, I would like to thank all our partners. We have received support from Star, from let me just read out. I think without this partner support, it would not have been possible. So Star India, Iran Group, Trigen, Infosys, Tata Power, Unilever, Citibank, Mahindra and Mahindra, Panasonic, Sri Sri Tatva, Sungup, and Sutherland. So I think without the support of our sponsors and partners, it would not have been possible. So I would once again like to request you to join tomorrow for some interesting sessions starting with ASEAN, and We will also have a cultural show at the grand finale tomorrow. Thanks everyone, and thanks SG, and thanks Arvindji.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. It's been such an enlightening session. Thank you very much for being here with us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. And wishing everybody good health.
Yeah.